Hey, Peterson here, and before we get going on the episode, I wanted to invite you to come join us on Discord, join the conversation. We'd love to have you, we'd love to interact with you, and we'd love to hear from you, so join us. And I want to give a quick shout out to our listeners, to our patrons, to our sponsors, and especially to our two boss level patrons, Patrick and Christopher. And away we go. Hey, so what's the sode this week?
Dude, it's listener questions.
Really?
Wait, why do you sound disappointed?
I don't know, man. I just feel like, I don't know, like my rights are being infringed on.
Wait, what?
Yeah, like that's my private information and our listeners just get access to it.
Oh, you're saying listener questions are an invasion of your privacy?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, kinda.
Dude, we're not just going to sit here and debate your constitutional right to avoid answering listener questions.
Okay, whatever, but I'm still not gonna wear a mask.
You've just logged into the 3-Bit Gamer Show. Welcome to the 3-Bit Gamer Show. I'm JD.
This is Peterson.
And Danny.
And none of us are wearing masks. I'm not wearing a mask.
I am
Not right
currently
now.
not wearing a mask.
Yep.
I'm in my home. I'm not wearing a mask.
Because I understand my constitutional rights to not
No.
wear a mask while I podcast.
No. That's not
Danny's
what we
putting
meant.
Danny's putting a COVID disclaimer on this podcast right now. COVID misinformation. We have to put that on the podcast now. All right, let's do news. Live from the 3-Bit Gamer Show. The news. All right, our news segment is brought to us by Crave Cookies. Crave Cookies is this awesome cookie, churro, pretzel, and soda shop in Midvale, Utah. They've got a drive-through, which is awesome. Any restaurant with a drive-through right now is just my favorite. And they have a new cookie every week. And they have a bunch of new cookies, guys. They have the chewy churro this week, which is the snickerdoodle cookie that has cinnamon cream cheese on top and then a little tiny churro. And then they have the Reese's PB Explosion, which is like a Reese's peanut butter cookie, and the lemon bar, and my favorite, the Rockstar. So yeah, check out Crave Cookies. They also deliver on a lot of the different delivery apps. All right. Okay, so here's this first bit of news. Here's the headline. Harry Potter open world game coming in 2021, including on Xbox Series X and PS5. This just came out today. It's reported in GameSpot, and a number of other outlets have confirmed it now. But I think the biggest news here is that, Danny, did you know about this?
I absolutely knew about this. I knew about this a year ago.
Yeah, I knew it. We knew you knew about it. Gosh dang it.
The first thing when I read this story, it was like, oh, it's coming out of Salt Lake Based Studio, Avalanche Studios. I was like, Danny knew!
She knew.
I said it to
Of
people.
course I
Freaking
knew. Of course I knew.
Fucking bullshit, damn it. We had a scoop this close, Peterson. We were this close to
We
a
were
scoop.
so close.
Almost had a scoop.
You know we're just going to try to pull information out of you all the time now, Danny. Just
You won't
secretly
get
How
much.
baller
lies.
is that? These guys, their studio is basically murdered by the ill-advised idea that was Disney Infinity. They come back together to work on a Harry Potter game that the world collectively has been asking for over 20 years. How badass is that? Like, welcome back, gents. Oh, I think that's so cool. I think that's dope.
I know lots of people on it, and I'm very excited to see what they've been working on.
Yeah, because it sounds like they I don't know. I have yet to find a state that has the appreciation for Harry Potter that Utah has. Utah has a weird affinity for Harry Potter. Peterson, you can confirm this because you've lived in Seattle and Vegas and Alabama.
Alabama, yeah.
Did
Of course, everybody likes Harry Potter, but I feel like I know so many people they don't just like Harry Potter here in Utah. They're like obsessed with it and
Yeah.
like really proud of their Harry Potter trivia skills. They can beat you at Harry Potter trivia. They know everything, books, movie. It's wild.
So, basically, Danny, you're on our shit list, but I respect it. I respect the game. I respect the secret keeping. You could be the podcast secret keeper.
Yeah, if I knew about that, I'd be like, okay, guys, I'm not gonna say what it is.
But it's like da 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 da, maybe something like that. Maybe
like
So
I don't
I've
know,
been
lightning
doing
bolts,
that,
foreheads.
Oh, so like all of the people I know who work on it are under NDAs. They aren't able to actually confirm or deny this. So anytime that we'd be talking about their game, we'd just be doing a little wand like swishing motion, and they just get mad and walk away because they couldn't talk about it.
You're
That's
like,
awesome. I thought
let
you were
me
going to
know
say
when
that,
I've got it right.
I thought you were going to say that you had been dropping hints the whole time on this podcast, and people could
no,
go back
no.
and find them. And I was going to say, "Hot damn, way to go, Danny!"
Like,
the long
my
con.
gosh.
Oh, I wouldn't complain of people going back and listening to our old episodes, but no, I did not doing that.
That would just be
man.
the best Easter egg we could offer. Okay, so here's another good one. This is awesome, and this is what everyone was asking for, if I remember correctly. Crash Bandicoot 4, the follow-up, the first Crash Bandicoot game in 15 years, is going to have in-game purchases.
I don't want that.
You'll get there.
Hold on. Purchases. I got it. Got it.
Close.
Woo! Yeah, Crash Bandicoot 3 came out in 1998 before the concept, 10 years before the concept of microtransactions even existed. But that's what I really wanted to help modernize the Crash Bandicoot name is microtransactions. For those not initiated, Crash Bandicoot is a first single-player game. It is absolutely not a game with any multiplayer aspects or any aspects that really lend themselves to in-game purchases. But hey, all you Crash fans that are really excited about your game coming back for the first time in 22 years, well, sorry.
Yeah, you guys are going to be stoked when you get hit with those mobile game style microtransactions.
They're like, hey, you want Crash to get to the next level? Enter $1.99 now. Or tap A 25,000 times.
Ugh.
Peterson, these next two are all you, man.
Okay, so this one I love. This is just a funny story. So Ezekiel Elliott, if you are unfamiliar, is a professional football player. Ezekiel Elliott has been using his time to stream while he's playing video games.
Yeah,
but he had a fun little mistake while he was streaming. He says he's gaming and he goes and he thinks he's signed off and he goes, "Yo, I'm low key faded." I think he said,
it wasn't that low key, bro.
I'm low key too faded to play this game or something like that. And then he's like, "Oh man, I'm not even logged out of my stream." And people are like, "Oh man, he plays for the Dallas Cowboys," and they're like, "Oh man, we're gonna hear from the Cowboys." And I'm like, "No, come on. Half of the people you're watching stream are some level of faded by some substance."
No, I have seen. If you've watched any documentary on the NFL, especially the modern day NFL, everyone is high all the time, not just on weed, just on a cocktail of things.
Yet this surprised nobody, and it's not even real piece of news. I had to dig real deep for it, but the video just made me laugh. It just made me laugh when he's like, "Oh, I'm low-key too faded to play this game," and then he's embarrassed.
what I'm getting from this is that NFL athletes are adjusting to the world of streaming much better than NASCAR drivers. They're having a much better time.
If that is the only controversy we have so far, we're doing great.
So we've got cheating, we've got the N-word, we've got all these other things, and NFL athletes are getting high in streaming. Only one of these people understands streaming.
Yeah, he's actually right.
You can high and play video games and stream it, like, done.
Oh man, so that story killed me. And the last story, gosh, this one just killed me. Ubisoft had, this is actually a Blursty alert, okay? Ubisoft had
Blursty alert.
An executive that they placed on leave, and his name is, I think he's French, but it's Maxime Belland. But if you read this like a British guy, yo, bruv, my main man Max Belland got placed on a leave. His name is Max Belland. If you are unfamiliar with British slang, JD, can you tell him what a bellend is?
A bellend. No, why is this on me?
Because
it is the end. It is the end of someone's anatomy.
Yeah. It's a way of calling someone a dick,
and it looks sometimes like a bell.
This guy's name, let me remind you, is Max Belland. This sounds like a joke. This sounds like a joke from like the British Office or something.
Well, it sounds like Monty Python, which is Biggest Dickus. It sounds like the Biggest Dickus sketch from Monty Python.
Dude, that's it. I couldn't believe
so
it.
Funny about Biggest Dickus. Throw him roughly to the ground.
It's my main man, Max Belland, in the house.
Dude, nailed it. I mean, his name, spot on.
I can't. I saw it and I was like, this is pure gold. His name is Max Belland. I can't. It doesn't get better than that.
And we have actually, because you mentioned the British Office, and like this is kind of like a British thing. Apparently, we have another shitbag on the American side of the Atlantic that was also caught up in something similar, and he's Steve Butts.
Nope. Come on.
So 2020 is being written by some lazy people. They're clearly not trying anymore.
No.
Steve Butts and Max Belland.
Max,
fuck
Belland.
off, guys! You're not even trying.
No, you don't have
sounds
to
like
anymore.
A Family Guy sketch. It sounds like we live in a Family Guy sketch.
We're living in an Onion article. We all know this.
God, dude.
You're absolutely right there. So I'm putting this as one of my Blursty noms.
Yeah,
I already know
dope.
for
this
worst
is
name.
Great.
Max Belland.
Max Belland is a good Blursty. That's a good one. Okay, does that wrap us up? Are we on to our next?
Yep, let's move it on.
Okay, Kudos is our positivity segment where we like to give a shout out to something we love. I have a good one. Peterson, do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
I have one. I have just a quick kudos that I wanted to give to my main man, JD. So JD spent hours the other day just because he wanted to, because he thought of this idea and he's like, I want to do it. So he made a YouTube video. If you haven't looked, go check it out on our YouTube channel. A YouTube video of all of the Steam games that we played on the Steam Summerfest. We talked about 30 games. It was probably 25 games, and it was a 50-minute long segment. JD turned it all into a video, added gameplay to each of the segments where we're talking about the game, and he nailed it. It looks fantastic. It turned out really great, and he did it because he wanted to do it, and so he did a great job. So kudos to JD.
Thanks, dude. And there are a ton of like funny Easter eggs and jokes hidden in the video, so it's worth like actually watching it. But yeah, it's pinned on our Twitter and stuff, and I've shared it a couple times in Discord. And I'm also going to be sharing. What's cool about it is it's got timestamps to each individual game. So if you just were like, oh, they talked about this one game and I wanted to see it. You don't have to go hunting for it on Steam. You can just hit the description and it's like a jump link in the video to where we're talking about each individual game. And there's a link to each game's Steam page. So you guys got to check this video out. It's dope. Thanks, dude. I have a kudos for Cake. Which
the concept? Like the concept of cake.
Yes. The concept of cake is great. First
of
all,
it really is. I could go for a cake right now. Yeah.
Sugar bread, and then you cover it with more sugar and fat. Mm-hmm. The concept of cake is brilliant.
And sugar. There's so much sugar. I just think about sugar all the time.
The concept of sugar is also my favorite.
Wait. Are you tell me the truth.
No.
Are you pulling a Z right now?
Dude, I'm just way too faded for this podcast right now. Are you kidding me? Yeah, so Cake is dope, but also Cake, the TV show on FXX, which is not the porn version of FX.
Yeah, I was like, don't say X again. Sure? Leave it at 2.
FXXX, and the cake is all naked cakes. No, it's not that. So it is a sketch, I would say comedy, but some of the things are like kind of just too real. You're like, haha, but also like, ouch. It is on Hulu and FX. So I just watched it on Hulu. There's just a bunch, but it is like very avant-garde. Like some of the sketches remind me of like Whitest Kids You Know. Some of the sketches are like way out there, whack-ass animation that's almost like Robot Chicken levels. Someone like one sketch is like a realistic, very realistic looking deep sea fish in like an animation holding an inspirational seminar. Like it's just like out there shit. And then like there's one that I just can't get enough of. It's called it's like it's a series throughout the show. It's like these little sketches called Oh Jerome No, like oh Jerome No, about this guy named Jerome who's this overly sensitive dude who just sabotages all his own relationships. Like he's dating this girl. This is just one example. This is going way too long, but he's dating this girl, and early in their relationship they go to a jeweler and she gets an engraved bracelet that says Natalie and Jerome forever or whatever. And she's like, I'm never going to take it off. And he's like, okay. And then somewhere down the road in this relationship, he sees a picture of her on Instagram or whatever. And he thinks that she's not wearing this bracelet. So then for like 2 months, because he's way too sensitive to actually say something about it, he's just like way distant and weird. And then they're at the beach one day and she loses the bracelet and he's freaking out. And she's like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, you said you've never taken it off before? What about this? And he shows her this picture that he's been obsessing over for 2 fucking months. And she's like, dude, it's a selfie. It's reversed. My bracelet was on the other arm. And he just like immediately realizes how big of a fuck up he is.
A bell end.
It's just like this, a bell end, a total max bell end over and over and over again. And then there's another one that I sent you, Peterson, called Two Pink Doors. That is just, it's really like, I would call it, it's really weird. I'd say cutting edge comedy or cutting edge like TV almost, because it is so out there that like for the first, I don't know, episode and a half, I was just watching like, what the fuck is this? I was like, I can't tell if I like this or not. But I watched like, by the time you get to episode 3, you'll know whether or not you like it. And I don't know. There's another one Danny will probably relate to where there's a graphic designer and she's sitting at her computer and she's working on something, and this guy comes up behind her, is like, oh yeah, that looks great. Can we just make that 20% bigger? And she's like, okay. And she does it. And then someone else comes over. They're like, oh, they said they wanted this to be vibrant. Can we try like a cyan instead? And she's like, okay. And then these people keep coming. And by the end of the video, there's like a guy like crunching chips over her shoulder as he's offering suggestions. And there's like 6 people all gathered around telling her like what to do, how to change her graphic design to like suit the needs of the client. And it is so mind-numbingly nerve-wracking.
I've had that exact experience, except it was, I think, 7 game developers all around a mannequin that I was modeling, telling me to make the ass bigger. It's already a shelf. It's already Kim K. What do you monsters want?
Mostly ass. She should be longer horizontal than she is tall. That's all I'm asking.
Do you want this to be a horse?
She's like a centaur with
centaur?
2 legs. She looks like a... Shit, I can't get the image of a 2-legged centaur out of my head. It's deeply unsettling. I fucking hate it.
I think that's just called a satyr.
It's just I'm talking a human with a full horse body coming out of their ass.
Oh my god!
But
like
no
all their
hind
stomach
legs.
and stuff is back there. There's no hind legs holding it up. They just drag it around like a snail.
Oh no! Do I have to draw that? I don't want to draw that.
Danny, will you model that for me and send it tonight, please?
Danny, we're gonna need that by close of business tomorrow.
Oh no!
Drop everything else you're working on. This needs to happen. 2-legged centaur. Anyway, so this show, you guys realize the point I'm making is that sometimes it's way too real and you're like, fuck, is this like funny or just like shocking? But yeah, it's good. It's worth a check. It's like 22. I think they're like just like half-hour episodes. So it's called Cake on Hulu.
Nice. I'll check it out.
You've got questions. We've got answers.
All right, so that takes us to listener questions.
Listener
Woo!
questions.
You guys asked a bunch of dope questions. We haven't done this for a minute, and which is silly because we should always do these when we're running low on ideas, which is perpetually now.
My brain's real empty.
Yeah, my brain just does not. All the creativity has been sapped by every single thing I read is coronavirus or worse. So,
dude, I see people that they like still have people working on movies and working in like creative industries and stuff, and I'm like, dude, props.
I don't even know how I'm doing it.
I
finished the workday and I send off art and then I don't remember what I drew for the last 6 hours.
Oh my Christ. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep, that's been my life.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that is pretty descriptive of my workday, just not the drawing. My manager will be like, "What's everyone working on?" And I'm like, "I don't even freaking know. What have I been doing? I've been here.
Isn't that your job to know? Stuff. Shouldn't you know that?
Yeah, you manage me.
Manage me better. A good manager would know.
Whenever I get asked though what I'm working on, I'm like, I draw blank. I'm like, oh shoot.
But you want to be like, I'm fucking hella busy. Is that what you want to hear? If that's all you need to know, I'm busy like all the time.
You're in danger though, because then they're going to ask with what, and you're not going to have an answer.
You're like,
that's a good point.
Okay, well, there's
just busy.
I don't remember.
I don't know. I would just say generally busy. I just feel busy.
Just
my brain's just busy. I think all the time about things.
4 hours of
Real
Reddit.
busy.
I don't know. What did I do?
I know I've been working. Okay, so we had some help with our creativity is what we're saying. So let's get this thing started. We had a bunch of questions. We had them on Twitter and Discord. And by the way, people, if you guys ever have listener questions at random times, you can feel free to drop them on Discord because Peterson just keeps them logged away like a little questions rat. Okay, so our first question comes to
Can
us
I give you a question, chipmunk at least? Or squirrel?
Nope, we're all rats now.
We're all question rats.
Freaking question sewer rat that's getting eaten by a seagull.
Yeah, by a seagull. That's you.
Oh my god.
Dude, 2020 was the seagull and the rest of us are the rat being like, I didn't know a year could do this. None of us knew this was possible.
If you don't know what we're talking about, there's a video going around of a seagull like straight up just
like a
eating
pelican.
whole rat.
Like how a pelican eats something, it eats a rat. And the rat just kind of goes with it because it's like, no fucking way is this actually going to happen. And by the time it figures out it's happening, that seagull's just slurping up its tail.
Dude, it's crazy.
Man, all bets are off now.
All bets are off, dude. Seagulls are eating rats. That's where we're at, dude. That's where we're at. Okay, our first question comes to us from Garrett Bracken, and he asks, if you could only play one game genre, what would it be? And I gotta say, this is the cruelest question we've ever been asked. What the F? I've never felt more like limited and attacked and had a harder time answering a question.
Oh, I actually thought this was an easy one.
Danny, what is yours?
MMORPG. That's the most content.
Yes.
I mean, that's true. You would have.
Do you have people to play
content.
those with?
Oh yeah, I know plenty of people who play MMORPGs, and technically Destiny is one, so of course I'm on board.
Oh,
You just want to play Destiny. Danny,
I do want to play
can't stop
Destiny.
playing
I do have
Destiny.
That's what
I
she's
have
saying.
Steam open. It's looking at me. I have bounties to do.
If we lose Danny, that we'll know why. Peterson, what did you have an easy time with this one? Was it just me?
So I went here. I maybe cheated a little bit because I chose like a subgenre, which is more encompassing. But I have realized over the last year and a half, probably, that I love roguelikes. Always.
Yes.
Oh.
Like every roguelike, if I see a game tagged with roguelike, I'm like, wait, what? What's this game? And I can't stop. I love them. I play them. I'm into it. And there's more and more. And I guess they vary enough to where, yeah, dude, I could play roguelikes forever. And I probably will because my attention span is waning. And they are perfect for a waning attention span.
See, I would say my question is the challenge of my question was what you just mentioned, which is that my tastes have been changing so rapidly all the time. Mm-hmm. Like you just found a new favorite genre, what, a year ago, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And you've been playing games for so long that like I feel like I find a new favorite genre every time I find a new dope game. Like I didn't really like survival games until I found Frostpunk, and I wasn't a huge fan of whatever FTL is before I played FTL. But like now I have all these games that are all over the board, and it's so hard for me to be like, I would just pick one genre because I've been having so much fun over the last like 2-3 years playing all genres. So I guess I would have to ask if you guys think that if I said first person shooter, would that count? Is that okay? Because I feel like that's
that's
broad.
the genre.
Because that would include everything from Fallout to BioShock.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a genre because, I think for me that would be a hard one to choose because there is some variety, but it's not that there's not a ton of variety. And like first person shooter, you kind of know what you're going to get.
It seems like there's a ton of variety though between, like I just said, like the delta between Destiny or BioShock and Fallout is pretty.
That's just because you're not playing them back to back to back.
That's a good point.
I feel like if you did, you'd be like, oh my gosh, here we go again. But yeah, no, I do think you could play first person shooters forever and have a good time because then you could play a lot of the what is it called, battle royale games. You can it does, I guess, expand the type of game, but oh man, that would be a hard one for me.
Okay, so that was not actually my answer. I was just asking if that would count because I was actually thinking,
what's your answer?
If FPS actually counts, it's kind of hard because I do feel like there's a huge spread of games. But if I'm answering like right now, like what I'm vibing on, like how you're vibing on roguelikes, I'm into RTS games. Like that's my jam right now. Like strategy games. I guess maybe not RTS, just strategy, I should say, because I guess like the survivalists would count as strategy, and everything from FTL to even Frostpunk would count as strategy. So
yeah, I don't know. I might call foul on this one.
Oh, really? Okay,
because,
if that's foul, then I would say first person
could
shooter
be considered strategy. I think like most games that'd be like saying single player games. Right?
Yeah.
It could be so many things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then I will go with first person shooters. That would be my pick, only because most of in my top, I don't know, 50 games of all time, I would say the majority are first person shooters.
That's true.
That's probably my secondary too. Shooters are good.
Yeah. You can do a lot with it. Obviously, you can do RPGs. You can do just straight single player stories. You can do multiplayer. So I would kind of have, and then hell, I could play Destiny too. So that would be like, come on, Danny.
Well, you sold. Danny's sold. She's in.
I'm in.
Get a grip. Come on. She's already booting. She's like, it's okay, JD. I sent you an invite.
She's like, wait, are we playing Destiny? Like,
oh my gosh, I have a raid to do.
Guys, switch on over to Destiny chat. Come on, let's go. Okay, so our next one is from Abby. Abby asked us on Twitter. She said, when is JD getting married? I got married last Tuesday. the last week when the last episode that was released, I got married that Tuesday. It was a lovely ceremony with 6 people. My sister was the officiant, and it was everything I could ever dream of, because it didn't cost $20,000. So
big mistake, JD. You got to take out. You got to take out a second mortgage for this huge ceremony. Invite everyone.
Oh, no.
Open bar.
I have to. Oh shoot!
What are you
a bunch
doing?
of food that you won't even get to eat.
Do I have to invite people I don't know?
Oh yeah. You got to
shit.
all of your parents' friends, all of her parents' friends. You really messed it up, JD. No, that's
like,
awesome.
Okay, why
man.
are you talking so close to me? I don't even know you. Oh, but when you were a little boy, I'm like,
I'm not a little boy.
I'm not a little boy anymore. I'm a married man. I'm a married man.
I'm married.
So yeah, Abby, you did it. You asked honestly, like I think the day of my wedding, possibly.
It was. I think it was right before. So congrats to JD. He is now.
It was.
He's now a married man, and we. Quick update. We are only referring to Jenna as the old ball and chain now. That's so. Just quick update.
She has threatened Peterson's life the next time she sees him in person. So you've got about 6 months, Peterson.
Oh, JD, I see you brought the old ball and chain with you today.
Oh my God.
She'll hate it.
Yeah. Oh, she's gonna hate it. She's gonna hate it. All right. So this one comes from Guri1 Circa, and they asked, if you could change either of the hosts for the 3-Bit Gamer Show, who would it be? And I would like to answer that question with another question. Which parent would you fire? Which child would you put in the basket and push down the river? What the hell?
That is. I can't even answer that.
It's just to answer that question. Who was the worst? Who is your least favorite person on the podcast? Well, obviously it's Peterson.
Yeah.
The worst.
No, that was my answer too.
That.
Peterson. Not
Everyone
only
voted
anything but Peterson. I'm sorry.
everyone voted 4 votes for Peterson. Oh,
actually, it was a really easy one to answer. It's got to be Peterson.
I already knew before I even finished reading it. If you could change out Peterson, for sure. What does the question say?
I think everyone would be happier. Peterson would be happier. Oh, finally free of this.
Yeah, I'd be free.
Friederson. And then their second, the follow up is, I don't know, kind of like the natural follow up to that question of who's your least favorite person on the podcast, which is, who would you eat if you had no choice? I gotta say, I love the wording of this.
Yeah.
Is you have a choice who to eat. You do not have a choice not to eat that person. So this is someone that you have to finish. Are you kidding me?
This one wasn't even hard for me. I mean, it's a crazy question, so it deserves a crazy answer. But,
yeah.
So the host that I would eat first is easily for me is Lynn. Lynn hasn't been on for a while because Lynn doesn't have a good mic. But Lynn, listen, if anyone would have the most flavor of all of our hosts, it's
That's
Lynn.
true. Lynn is spicy.
Lynn is spicy. She would be spicy. I would eat Lynn first. I don't know. I would just look and be like, I don't know. JD's probably stringy. Same with Trent's real stringy. I was
Well,
like, no.
depending on the day you get him.
I was like, no, I'm going for Lynn.
Okay, well, let me tell you who I would eat, because I actually put way more thought into this than I probably should have. I recently learned.
He's
do
looking.
you guys know what?
He's like, which
I'm
kind
like,
of people taste
what's
best?
everyone's BMI? I'm like looking up everyone on MyFitnessPal to see what you had for lunch this week. No, I I recently learned how foie gras is made, and it's apparently sounds like straight out of like Wes Craven horror movie. It's like a straight up fucking nightmare. They basically force feed ducks for just shove corn down their throats for
like actually shove it down their throat.
Yeah,
it's not like here, just eat this goose.
Yeah, it's not like
duck.
cow, or it's not like pigs where you can put a bunch of food and they'll eat as much foods in front of them. Like you have to feed them more than they will naturally eat for like 6 weeks, which is horrifying. And then you eat only the liver, the fucked up liver from that goose or duck or whatever. So obviously I'm gonna foie gras Trent. I'm gonna take him to like an all you can eat pizza buffet, or really any buffet, and I'm just gonna sit there. I don't have to force feed Trent.
I was gonna say you don't have to force feed him. He'll just do it.
So I don't have to do the horror movie part. Trent does the part where he shoves things down his throat with his fingers, and it's perfect. And then I get to eat his super fatty liver, which apparently is like a pate, which is the most disgusting thing I've ever heard in my whole life. We ruin this animal's organs so bad you can spread it on toast is not like a selling point for a food for me. What?
I used to prepare that food when I worked at a restaurant. It was gross.
The fuck?
Can I just do a quick aside? Yeah. I do not understand why people even like foie gras. Have you tasted it? It's not good.
No.
It doesn't even sound good. The description makes it very apparent that it's not good.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Anchovies, I get. Foie gras, I'm out.
Danny, who would you eat?
So I wrote down Peterson because he'd probably forgive me.
Twice?
So she's going to kill and eat you.
Yeah.
Waste not, want not.
You know what? Like, I just figured, like...
is the thing.
Well, the thing is, I don't really eat meat, so, like, slim pickings, you know?
Yeah. That's fucking hard. But don't you forget, Danny, you have no choice.
No choice, right? That's why Peterson, because I feel like if I had to murder and eat Peterson, he would at least, like, forgive me for it a little bit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know what? I get it. I don't like it, but I get it.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
see,
I love the Eli Roth question. But I feel like we got to move on to the next one, which is actually about video games. Oddly enough, this is from Andrew on Twitter, and he asks, do you have any good Switch indie recommendations for kids? I have 3 7-year-olds.
Okay, well, wait. Can I just go to the last part of that question? 3 7-year-olds?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I got
one of our listeners has triplets,
reading it.
And we're just learning about this right now?
That's the most stressful thing I can think of. 3 7-year-olds. Whoa. So first off, my condolences, but also you have my admiration because
and respect.
I wouldn't have made it.
Peterson, because you have kids all over the range, the age spectrum, what age is going to be worst for Andrew when the kids get there?
Well, I mean,
are they there right now?
He's already hit one of the worst, which is 3. 3-year-old, okay. 3-year-olds, honestly, no joke, is rough. But when they start hitting those like right around the first signs of puberty ages, so like 12, 13, 14,
no.
dude, they are gonna all fight. They're gonna fight each other. They're gonna fight you. They're going to be all cranky. I don't know if they're boys or girls. It does make a little bit of a difference in terms of the reactions you're going to get, but none of them are good. I'll put it that way. So I'm so sorry you've got another 7 years about before before things
Just through
get
the worst
real,
of it?
real rough around your house. I'm sure he's well
get
aware.
them prepped now. Get them prepped now and get them into video games, and then they'll
That's
take
right.
out all of their emotions there. Who wants to start? Who's got some good ones? I have a grip.
I have like a handful.
Let's hear them, Danny.
Okay. Have you guys heard of a game called Good Job?
Which one?
You say Hob?
Good Job.
Good job?
Yeah,
No,
job.
I have not.
It is a game where you work for a company, but you have to get all of your tasks done as fast as possible and without kind of worrying about the consequences. So you will straight up smash things through walls. You will set off explosives. You will like set up catapults. It is a very fun little kind of ragdoll style game that my nieces and nephews really like, alongside the famous Untitled Goose Game. That one is great for 7-year-olds.
It's got killer reviews. It actually has 9 out of 10 types of reviews. It looks really fun. It does look like a good game for kids. I'm going to check this out for my kids. Good job.
I mostly play it with my adult friends, but they're like kids, so it works.
Yeah.
I mean, all of us that are still playing video games into adulthood are a little bit like kids. Like, we get it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Danny, do you have any more?
There's one called Golf Story.
Ooh.
I had Golf Story on my list.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Because the thing is interesting about it is just looking down some lists of indie games on the Switch. A lot of them are not kid appropriate. A lot of them are pretty violent, but Golf Story isn't.
Nope.
I like that.
Golf Story. I talked about this game when I played it, and this is not a game that sounds appealing because you're like, a golf game. No, thank you. Right? Because you feel like there's like a type for golf games. This is unlike other golf games that you've played. It plays like an RPG puzzle game. Because the golfing you're doing is usually like a challenge, right? Oh, you got to beat this person, or you need to get this in so many strokes. But it's clever throughout. They throw enough different things in it, different types of clubs, and there's even a frisbee golf segment. It's actually an absolute blast. One of the few games that I played all the way through and was so sad to have finished it. So yeah, it doesn't seem like a game you'd want to play, but Golf Story absolutely is. And I think the same company is releasing a new one called Tennis Story. I think that's what they're doing. There's another game by the same company that they're releasing, but absolutely Golf Story is one to check out.
I have one that we've talked about on this podcast. You're probably already aware of, but I figured I'd throw it in there anyway in the mix. Streets of Rogue.
Oh, yeah.
Streets of Rogue is, I feel like it's only 2-player co-op, local co-op. Peterson, could you correct me if I'm wrong?
No, you can play more than that. I mean, local, I think we played 3 or 4.
Oh, it's up to
kids.
4. Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Well, okay, so I think what it is you can't have 2 people
You
on
just
local.
don't have 4 kids. That's the thing. So you don't have
Yes.
4 people playing it.
I've noticed that I don't have 4 kids.
Mhm.
With all
Like
the abundant
recently?
sleep that I get.
I feel
that was the
rested.
biggest clue to me, is that I sleep regularly all the time. It's fucking crazy.
Oh, way to rub it in you. You're being a real bastard right now.
I'm being a max bastard. So I love Streets of Rogue. I think the fact that you can have 4, that's awesome, because you could play it with your 3 kids, and if you're not already playing it, then that would be an awesome one. Overcooked, that's another.
Love Overcooked.
Yeah, I think that would be, with 3 7-year-olds that are just like making an absolute mess of things, would be super funny.
It'd be funny for you. I'm going to go ahead and say, don't play Overcooked with 3 7-year-olds. because I promise you, one of them will cry within 15 minutes. Look, I've got a 6-year-old. I know one of them will cry because the other ones are yelling at him because they're not doing well. Overcooked's a great game. Don't hand it to your triplets. That's what I'm
Okay,
That's
saying.
probably
Peterson.
fair.
What about this one? What about Lovers in Dangerous Space-Time?
Oh, I love that game too.
That one could be fun.
Because each of them would just have to monitor a single gun.
Yeah, no,
stuff.
I think that one could work. Probably better than Overcooked. I think they'd like.
What about...
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, what about Crawl? Have you heard that one?
I have not heard of this.
Let me look.
Yeah. Oh, it's fun. It's a dungeon crawler multiplayer where one of you is going through the dungeon and fighting monsters, and the other players are ghosts that control the monsters. You try to kill the person who's alive and take their spot.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's that there were like Mario games that had like a similar type of gameplay loop that my kids loved. No, that sounds great. Crawl.
You got to get the aggression against your siblings out somewhere. Might as well kill them in a game.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Not in the physical world. You keep that shit on the games. 3 7-year-olds wrestling. I'm just like, no,
nope,
just no.
So one of the things that I was going to jump in and say with kids that age, it's important that the game doesn't have too much reading. Because even if they can read well, they're probably not going to read it.
Fair.
They'll just skip through dialogue, skip through important information. So one of the games that I played through and loved, and all of my kids have loved, is Steam World Heist. That's the one where you are the space robot pirates. And it is a tactical game, and it's turn-based, but it's a 2D shooter. So you're like picking where your guys are going to shoot. The bullets ricochet off the walls. My 6-year-old played through it. He loved it so much. Did he fully understand all of the mechanics of like each weapon? No, but he still played through it and had a great time. So the Steam World games are extremely kid-friendly, very funny. So any of the Steam World games, I'll recommend Heist specifically, but check out any of the Steam World games because they are all very good.
Tight. And my last suggestion is The Escapists 2. It's another Team 17 game I've actually been playing a little bit around with recently. It is a game, I believe you can have 4 players, local co-op, where you are trying to escape a prison, and you're working together to find, items that you can craft together to make like a shovel that you could dig out of a certain room that you've isolated, and then you can use a magazine and a roll of duct tape to craft a poster that you put over the hole that you've dug. It's really, now that I'm saying it, I'm like not sure if a 7-year-old could. No,
it depends.
It's probably too much reading.
Do you let your kids, and the theme of it? It depends on like how much your kids are exposed to, right? If you let your kids...
no, I don't think. I think that I'm like a 7-year-old. I'm like, no, The Escapist. If you were like 11, maybe, but no,
11,
7.
12.
So don't. So yeah, forget that. But I definitely do think Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time would be awesome.
Really
it's
good.
$15 on the Switch right now. Super replayable, tons of like awesome levels. I think that would be my number one recommendation. Would be that.
Oh, FYI, just a quick. Oh, what'd you say?
Oh, sorry, I said Space Team. That one would be kind of fun to play. That one's mostly 2-player, but you could easily kind of build onto teams.
I don't know this one either. What is it?
What? It is a
I
game...
know what this is.
Yeah. It's a game where you are trying to fix a spaceship, but you have the other person's instructions.
Yep. Oh, this is going to challenge their reading ability. But I'll tell you what, if your kids can play through a game like this successfully together, this is going to show a lot about how well they work together, their teamwork, even their intelligence level, because games like this
Their
this is a
patience.
puzzle game. It's a type of puzzle. It's a different type, but yeah, this would be a lot of fun.
Right.
A quick addendum to an earlier statement: the new golf story game is called Sports Story, so it's not tennis; it's just Sports Story. It's not out yet, but that's one I'm definitely watching.
Tight. Okay, so our next one is from the Silverthorn, and they asked, now that we have seen leaked pictures of the Super Nintendo world, what amusement park would you like to create from a video game world, and what would the rides be? Dang, I liked this one.
This is a hard one for me.
Did you struggle with it? Let's hear
Yes.
it. What was your problem?
Because I think for me, I was thinking of like specific things that would be fun. Like, for example, I immediately was like, Sonic. I mean, the rides would be incredible, but I could only think of like 3 rides. And they're all like really fast and
Just,
lots
like,
of loop-de-loops.
Yeah.
But I mean, so like maybe a Sega theme park with just a bunch of Sega properties, with Sonic being maybe primary among them, because I think I just want a Sonic the Hedgehog roller coaster, because I think it would be awesome. They could include the sound effects. Like you said, it would go like kind of slow, and then you're going, and then you just hit that rolling Sonic section where you're flying around, going real fast, doing loops, and that would be a blast.
Okay.
But yeah, keep going. That's not my full answer, but I want to hear yours.
Wait, what? Oh, okay.
You asked why it was hard.
It's a two-parter. Oh, okay. We'll come back to you. What a tease. That's awesome. Mine would be, as it is for lots of things, BioShock. But
Ooh.
here's my twist. Is the Silverthorn asked if it was a amusement park, and I'm like, yes, it's an amusement park, but for BioShock, it's more of a haunted house park. You would imagine,
I was gonna say, it's like a horror amusement park.
Yeah, could you even imagine what that would be like? Like, that'd be
I would
dope.
love it.
Even like, I know this sounds so campy and dorky, but all the way down to the cafeteria could have like, haunted splicer meals, and you could serve up like Adam, or is it Eve is the other liquid, that's the blue one, and the Adam is the red one. I don't know. You could have little sisters wandering around freaking people out. So I think an entire like that, everything would be leaking. You could have it all indoors, so you could do it year round. Everything would just be like kind of leaking slowly and wet and dingy and like the noise.
I hate this theme amusement park. Actually,
I love it.
I know Danny
In.
would be in for it.
Yeah.
Everything's damp and
Yes.
wet.
Yeah, you're just like walking through areas, dude. You could even take it farther and make it like a role play style escape room park where you have to get out of Rapture and find your way out, and there's a bunch of other people in there. So yeah, I
find your way.
Rabbit hole, and I was like, oh my god, somebody give me $15 million. Just kidding, and that's already earmarked for Danny.
Yay! Yay, my money. Well, you could even go outside and you could go to Columbia. Like, minus all the racism and stuff, just like the floaty buildings and the bird.
It's like, we're just going to conveniently ignore that early 20th century casual racism.
We're just going to scoot past that. We're going to scoot past it.
This is the fun version.
The fun floaty building version, yeah. Look, there's a giant bird.
Dude, it's going to reach a point where we just can't have... People are going to be like, let's do alternative history shows. I think those are going to be more fun.
I mean, Hamilton.
Yeah.
Danny,
what would your amusement park be?
So my first reaction was to make Blizzard World real, but eventually I thought about Portal, because the rides could be all like very physics based, very fast, very like kind of balls to the wall crazy, with like going between rooms and like through portals and stuff. And like, can you imagine the light rings as you're just jumping through something? GLaDOS could be chasing you. Oh, it'd be so cool.
Oh, dude. And I was just thinking, like, how would you mimic the experience of going through a portal? But like, what if it was taking video of your actual ride and
that'd be so cool.
as you went through like the blue ring, all of a sudden video up to your right would appear of the orange ring, and it's your exact cart just coming from a different direction just by
Whoa.
video.
I think some very clever people could figure out how to make at least one Portal ride. I bet there's some engineers out there that would just have a heyday with that.
Mm-hmm.
But then again,
sorry, go ahead.
I rode the ride at Harry Potter Land, the one that's like supposed to be like 4D and there's like dragons and you fly around, whatever. It's like the broomstick one, and that was like the worst experience I've ever had in my adult life. So maybe not. I don't know. You'd think they would have hired better people to make that one, but they didn't. It just made me sick.
That's because the Imagineers are all over at Disney.
That's true. That's true. We need to just hire like 2 of them to work on the Portal roller coaster.
Yeah, just that's all we need.
So my full answer for this one,
I was just going to ask for the follow-up,
is the Elder Scrolls. Just do an Elder Scrolls because there would be enough content to fill up a full like amusement park. You could have the different cities and the different
just sounds like
ages.
A LARP.
Lots of LARPing.
It kind of does.
It's just like a Renaissance fair you're describing.
Yeah, I want to go to Ren Fair.
A Ren Fair with more Khajiit. That's like basically what you're asking for.
Hey, I'll take it.
Mm-hmm. Tons of Khajiit.
I know what Danny's dressing up as.
But would you get stopped at the border?
It depends. Depends on what you're carrying.
I see.
Yeah, what do you have in your bag?
What is the like the drink they have? It's like the moon milk, or what is that shit? The Khajiit are always addicted to.
I can't remember.
I know
moon
it's been
sugar.
so long.
It's moon sugar. It's a daily part of their lives. All right, so the next one comes to us from... Oh, no, wait. The next one comes to us also from Silverthorne, who had a follow-up that I loved. They asked, now that we have all seen the Sonic movie, and it's actually amazing, how will you atone for constantly mocking it? I will answer that question. I rented this movie because I didn't see it in theaters. I just didn't have time. And before everything went to shit. And so I didn't end up seeing it in theaters, and there was no other way to stream it, and I didn't feel right pirating it because, well, it was my atonement. My atonement was renting this film and watching it. How's that for you? And you're right, it was amazing. I loved it. It was dope. I mean, what did you think, Peterson? What was your atonement?
Yeah, see, here's the thing. I don't think I need to atone for it. I'm going to go ahead and stick to my guns. But actually, I'm going to change history a little bit. I always thought this movie was going to be good. I don't know what you guys are talking about. From the first time JD mentioned live action Sonic movie, I remember, dude, I actually, for real though, when we go back, when we were planning that episode and you brought up live action Sonic movie, I don't know if you remember.
Yes,
but
you laughed so hard you almost peed your pants.
Yeah, I was laughing so hard how stupid that would be. So, absolutely, they redeemed themselves. And you know what did it for me? It was having Jean-Ralphio as the voice. You know, you can't go wrong if Jean-Ralphio is the voice of Sonic. So I did the same thing. I rented it. We actually watched it last night for the first time because I too hadn't seen it. And then it had just come out on Prime Video for you to rent. And so I rented it, watched it. I loved it. I thought it was very good. It made sense of the world of Sonic for the most part. And I was fine with it. I didn't watch it and think, like when I watched Ready Player One, I was like, this is what is happening? I didn't watch it with that lens at all. I just watched it and had a good time. So I don't know. Way to go, Sonic, and I'll atone for it by watching the sequel when it comes out.
Yeah. No, I legit, and I'm coming from like the nerdy, like I'm the guy that's like, well, I care about Sonic lore, and everyone's like, there is not Sonic lore, you shitbird. But there is, people. It's just very disjointed and not connected in any way, shape, or form by any joints. So I feel like that said, it still had a lot of respect for like the myriad source material. In fact, like they had weird ass cameos. You know, the generals, the scene where all the generals get together and decide to hire Robotnik or whatever. Like two of those guys are like voice actors from like the weird animated series back in the 90s. Like they kind of,
That's cool.
Yeah, they had like a really cool respect for the source material. I feel like the mushroom thing, I really liked that it was an origin story for Sonic and Robotnik, and I thought the angle on Jim Carrey's Robotnik was I thought it was great. I just thought it was solid.
He did such a good job. Like, it was the last movie I saw in theaters before the quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
I paid for it a year in advance because my friend made me sit through the Sonic Dreams collection and the Sonic Inflation Adventures, which are a series of fetish games on Newgrounds.
Fuck, what?
So I had, yep. And so one horrible Halloween night, we played through every Sonic fetish game that exists. And that's how...
Sounds like a dark period of your life.
Listen, I have to live with those memories of what it's like to take off Sonic's shoes. I didn't like that one bit.
Take them off, or did you slide them off, Danny?
You have to slide them off with a mouse click. It's terrible. These are still online, by the way. But aside from that, like, it was a very enjoyable movie. It was very fun. It was very bright and colorful, even though I had to be dragged kicking and screaming to go see it.
Yeah. I dug it. Like some of my gripes, because the biggest problem with Sonic lore is when they try to incorporate it with the real world, which is always where the wheels come off, is when they're like, Sonic needs to be in a human city with interacting with humans. And it's like, no, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
He
really doesn't.
He's a mystical hedgehog that lives somewhere else that's not Earth. And so they got that down. But then the other thing that I was like hemming and hawing about, I was like, well, Robotnik isn't an Earthling. He didn't really originate on Earth. But the idea that they're like, he gets teleported to some other, kind of Sonic-y world where that's like his actual origin is the crazy Robotnik that we know. Dude, I thought it was dope. So like, I thought you guys are like, absolutely right that the movie was enjoyable and it was just like a super fun watch. But on top of that, like as a Sonic fan, that was my first video game was Sonic, so I've always got like a soft spot in my heart. So like I was like, dope, they respected the source material. I thought that was really cool. So that's my atonement. I mea culpa if I ever thought the concept was absolutely ridiculous. I do think do credit to the lunacy of the fan base, the rabidness of it that was able to get the model of Sonic updated. I went back and looked at the old one because I was like, it couldn't have been that bad. And then I was like, oh, fuck.
It was that bad.
Abs and like thighs, and he looked like this weird.
He was way too defined.
Yeah, yeah. It was.
That was the fetish version.
No, it did look kind of like it though.
Perfect. That was the first one they went with. They're like, well, we pulled up the first Sonic game we found online, and this was it. So this is what we're making the model off of. And they're like, dude, Reggie, you have to reset your internet search preferences because there's no way that should be coming up first for Sonic.
Like straight up. I mean, he pitches it and he goes, my favorite part was the court scenes, really. And you go, the what? The court scenes, yeah. That's what got me to actually look them up too, because I had to know what that meant.
Like,
what are you talking about?
Remember one of the things was that they gave Sonic like really realistic shoes that looked like way fucking weird.
They were so
now
real,
it makes sense because they're like, how the animator's arguing, and he's like, dude, if the shoes aren't real, how can Sonic slide them off for you?
This is bringing me back to some places I didn't want to go.
Yeah, Danny's Sonic years are a dark period.
This was last year.
No, Danny, trust me. Last year was 5 years ago. Did you?
No, you're right. Oh my god, you're right.
The last one comes from my wife. Oh my god,
old ball and chain.
The old. I can't say it.
Yeah.
I can't say
Katie,
it.
don't say it.
You write your own death sentence. Yeah. So Jenna asks, I've got a listener question for this week. If you could magically make any video game whose release is still TBD available right now, what game would you choose? I love this question. I think we should ask it every 6 months. It's so cool. I want to go first.
Do it.
I've been watching this game like the rest of everyone else, and it's driving me nuts. And I just right now would like to play this game in quarantine and to have it reliably to go back and just keep visiting the world of Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, yeah.
I
so good.
want it. I just have kind of a gap right now, and I feel like there is kind of a big gap in terms of new dope games coming out that I'm excited about. I obviously have a million games, as always, on backlog and other things, but in terms of like a new hot game coming out, this is the number one on my radar, other than Peterson has some really good answer too. But yeah, so that if I could just make a game up here, mostly because it's a known quality and I know what I'm getting, I would do Cyberpunk.
Danny, do you have one?
Oh, yeah. I was just actually looking at it because it says update queued on my Steam library. There is another Monster Prom coming out.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm very excited because you're camping this time and you get to date Mothman.
Danny, you have a magical release wand and you're going with Monster Prom 2?
I'm gonna date Mothman!
We're learning a
Gonna
lot
kiss him,
about
gonna ask him-
Danny's fantasies this
You're going
week.
to kiss those mandibles, right? You're just going to feel
I'm gonna ask him to prom!
Well, guess what, Danny? I hope you realize if your experience is anything like me, everyone you ask to prom is going to turn you down. Because
That hasn't happened to me.
What?
No, I've...
What a real life simulator for Peter.
No, not in real life.
Couldn't even get the monsters to go to prom with him.
I played Monster Prom. I played through 2 or 3 times, and every time I finally got to like the point where you ask them to prom, and I got turned down every time.
You didn't play Monster Prom. Monster Prom played you.
I mean, I've dated Polly and Damien, and apparently they're both kind of hard to get to date you, but I didn't think it was that bad. What? Like, it's hard?
No, like, the choices made no sense. The only monster that liked me at all was the emo vampire guy.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, no, I don't like you. You're annoying to me. Like, he's all emo and like, ugh. And I was like, no, that's not me. And that's the only one that was interested in me both playthroughs. I don't know what my problem is. So you can get your Monster Prom 2. I'm not playing it. I got enough rejection.
I'm gonna kiss Mothman. It's gonna be worth it.
Oh my goodness. I want you to report back. This seems like a big moment. I'm really
It's gonna be great. I'll get another body pillow.
Monster Prom.
Oh my god.
And you have a Garen and you have a Mothman
Garrus.
body pillow now. Garrus? Oh my god.
I have Garrus and Mothman, yes.
Dude,
My friend sent me one for my birthday. It's very soft. It's pillowy.
I'm dead. This is
I can't. Peterson, what's yours, man?
Oh, so this is real weird. Monster Prom 2. No. I
want another shot.
I want a new round of monsters. Okay, the first group, they suck.
These ones are biased against me.
It was them, not me. But I hope I can get a new round of monsters. No, I can't believe I didn't think of this right away. Baldur's Gate 3. This was announced last year, and Baldur's Gate is a Dungeons and Dragons type of game. So it's a real strict RPG, but it's being made by Larian, who, if you remember correctly, they're the guys who made oh gosh, I'm blanking. What's it called? Oh, that game I loved.
You'll have to be way more specific. PUBG,
Yeah.
Rocket League.
No, oh, sorry. Divinity Original Sin.
Oh, I would have gotten there.
Yeah, so Divinity Original Sin 2 I played and absolutely loved it. It was a phenomenal game, brilliantly done. The story was fantastic. The RPG elements were deep, and you'd have your party and you interacted during the fights. It was a kind of a grid-based fight system, but you interacted with all of the things around, and elements took a big part of it. So, if the ground is on fire and then you did a water spell, then there'd be steam and then you couldn't see very well through it, that sort of thing. It was very deep. And it was an amazing game. It was probably my favorite game in 2017. And they're making Baldur's Gate 3, and we've seen just the not even a trailer. Well, it wasn't a gameplay trailer. We just saw the promo video for it, and of course, it looked amazing. So, Baldur's Gate 3. I wish I could wave my wand and make it come out.
Now, why did you? I think the other one that is kind of like the elephant in the room that none of us said, well, I thought you were going to say it, was Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah, that's the low-hanging fruit. Elder Scrolls 6, right. That's what we really all want. You know what I mean? Because it's going to come out and everyone's going to play it.
That one requires a real magic wand, because Cyberpunk, could, if you held a gun to someone's head, probably could release it next week. But Elder Scrolls 6 is so far out that having a magic wand on that game would be awesome. Just be like, fast forward 3 years, please.
3?
Yeah.
At least.
At least. Okay, so it has to last as long as Skyrim did, which Skyrim's rounding its 8th year of being like a nonstop bestseller on every console and refrigerator screen in America. Okay, so do you want to skip to Dice, or do you want me to review Monster Sanctuary?
Let's skip to Dice. We're at an hour 10.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so
Dice of Destiny.
All right, Dice of Destiny is our little game that we play at the end of every episode. We roll a 20-sided dice to pick with 20 different game genres assigned to it. We roll a 6-sided dice to see how much we can spend on the game, and then we finally roll a dice to see who has to find a game for that price in that genre, pick it, play it, and review it. And a couple weeks ago, I rolled an RTS for under $20, and I don't know. I went through the RTS list on Steam, and honestly, the first 2 pages are in my library. I was like, I gotta own a lot of these. So I went through I will explain my thought process. And if at any point you think I was wrong in my thought process and should rethink it, let me know. But what I did was I was like, well, first of all,
you were wrong in your thought process.
Fuck, I knew it.
Yeah, man. How did you screw like that?
Well, I'm really glad I checked with you guys.
We're here to help, man.
So we talked about Company of Heroes, the fact that it has a cover system last week or something. And I remembered, Peterson, you remember that we played that with Chase, but I only played that game for 30 minutes total. So
yeah, we maybe played through part of one campaign.
Right. And there was I think we were playing the multiplayer. We weren't really I campaign. And so I didn't ever play the campaign, and I own that game. So I was like, oh, maybe I could bend the rules a little bit. But let me look. I'll look anyway, because I would hate to start by breaking the rules. So I pulled up a couple. They Are Billions is on my wish list, and I looked at that, and I was like, first of all, it's $22.49. So I was like, how many rules can I break? But I was like, I don't think I want a game that's that involved and stressful right now. I like things a little calmer, and so I ended up looking at Halo Wars, which I played briefly on the Xbox 360, very briefly, way back in the day, 2008 or whenever it came out. And I was like, oh, well, hell yeah. That's an old classic. I could put Halo Wars in my list of then I've played all the Halo games, and I was like, that'd be cool. But then right underneath Halo Wars, I saw this one, Star Wars Empire at War. I have never heard of this game. Are you familiar with it?
I've heard of it,
No.
Never looked at it once.
This came out in 2006, kind of at the tail end of the height of classic RTSs, I would say. Do you think that's a fair assessment? It was like kind of when RTSs like at their heyday was they were kind of winding down. That was the same year that that was a year before Age of Empires 3 came out, and that was 2 years before Halo Wars came out. So I think that was kind of like when they were right at their apex and they were heading on the way down. And dude, it has a 10 with like 13,000 reviews on Steam. It has a 10 out of 10. At the time it came out, it was like people were like, yeah, it's like an 8 out of 10. It's like a B plus game. But I think as it's aged, people have become very fond of it. And I was like, ooh, I know another RTS like that I can relate to. So it was a really close matchup between Halo Wars and Star Wars Empire at War. But I opted for Star Wars Empire at War just because I am so curious. I think one of the reviews I read on Wikipedia, that was when the game came out way back when, the guy was like, yeah, can you find a better RTS out there? Probably, but it probably doesn't have AT-ATs in it. I was like, that's all Star Wars media. The movies aren't really good, guys. There's been one good Star Wars movie, maybe two, and we've been chasing that high for 40 years, but it doesn't matter because it's Star Wars. So it's like, whatever. The games are like, it's a pretty good game, but it's Star Wars, so it's a great game. It's like, whatever. You slap Star Wars on something and I'm in. So I will be checking out Star Wars Empire at War on my giant pile of games I'm playing right now. Sweet. I also started Outer Wilds and disgustingly sucked into that. So I will have to put that on the shelf for a minute. And actually, is that it? Are we all good?
Yeah. Okay. I do want to give you a quick kudos for saying AT-AT. A lot of people say at, and I hate it.
Wrong.
It's a weird pet peeve that I have.
That's like a new thing, right? I feel like that's an emergent trend.
I don't know, but it really bugs me. Oh yeah, the at, and I'm like,
okay.
Who taught you that?
Have you noticed that the people that call them at-ats also seem like the biggest like wieners in the term in the way that they would like correct you on Star Wars mistakes? They're like,
you mean a Max Bellend? Yeah,
exactly. They do sound like Max Bellends when they talk about at-ats. But yes, that's it. Okay, thanks for the kudos. And to play us out, we will actually have some music from Outer Wilds because I've been super digging it. Have you played that, Danny?
So I'm watching my friend Marcus play through it right now and laughing at him every single time he falls into the black hole.
Yeah.
Rude.
You laugh.
Yeah.
You laugh.
I'll
people
keep laughing.
Us falling into the black holes, we don't think it's funny. It's terrible.
I'll keep laughing. Gonna keep laughing.
Get out of me. I'm not going back to that hollow planet again.
You're gonna be back there a lot.
Terrifying.
Well, you're gonna go back. You're gonna be there a lot.
So, and then you just end up floating in space and you have to... Oh, I'll talk about it later. I will have so much to review on Outer Wilds and why I think one of us should have played Outer Wilds, Peterson, while the other one played Outer Worlds instead of both of us playing Outer Worlds. But that's okay. That's another conversation. Okay, I'm JD, logging off.
This is Peterson going AFK.
And Danny saying BRB.
Peterson Productions. Oh yeah.